What's up, guys? Welcome to Archer Amplified. I'm Archer. I'll be here every Monday talking to you about my job as a full-time musician and all the hurdles that come along with that. You'll hear about shows, songwriting, and everything that goes on behind the curtain. If you're curious about when I'm playing my shows, make sure you go to archermusicxx.com to check out my show schedule. Also, give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook. Just search Archer Music XX. So in the last episode of Archer Amplified, I talked to you about my time in Big Time. For this episode, I brought in John Wilson, the lead singer of Big Time, to talk about all things that are happening with him, with the band, how he got started, and how COVID's affected everything. Even some new projects, maybe? Okay, so this is the first guest that I'm having on Archer Amplified. I was in a band with him called Big Time, and he's super awesome, and his name is John Wilson. What's up?
Hello.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the first question that probably everyone asks. How did you get started in music, or what was the first experience you had that made you absolutely love music?
I think it's funny because nobody's ever wanted to ask me anything about that. No, just kidding. I really didn't have much choice. I mean, my dad was in bands, my whole life from the time I was born. I mean, he started in bands. I think his first band was when he was 18. And so when I was born, he was in a band. And so I grew up watching his band rehearse and play shows. They were called Bits and Pieces, which actually led to Big Time was an offshoot of Bits and Pieces. We'll get to that later. But when I knew I wanted to do music, as a child, I grew up listening to the stuff that he listened to, like the oldies from the 50s and 60s, the Motown stuff especially, and Carolina Beach music, which is, something he was really into. And music just always brought me joy. I mean, I'd run around the house and just scream to the top of my lungs and have music playing, and it just, it's just this, music is supposed to be joyful above everything else. And that's all it is for me is just joy. But when I really realized, wait a minute, I can do this and bring joy to people myself. It's not just for me. I can share this gift. Mm-hmm. Was when I was in a talent show in kindergarten. And there's an old song called Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys. Some guy named Dallas something had written it and recorded it originally, but they re-recorded it in the early 80s, I think, and so it was pretty popular when I was 5.
How's it go?
What?
How's it go?
Oh, it's like, Elvira.
Oh, I've heard that.
Da-doom.
Yeah.
Elvira, my heart's on fire for Elvira. But the part that I like, they have this bass singer, and he goes, boppa, boppa, ma.
My dad did that when I was younger. Yeah. So you sang that in kindergarten?
I sang that in kindergarten. Well, they had a tape player, and I guess they weren't prepared for musical performance because they didn't have a microphone stand. All they had was a microphone that the announcer was using. So a lady had to stand beside me and hold the microphone to my face.
Oh.
And the Dukes of Hazzard TV show was like the most popular Friday night TV show behind Dallas, mm-hmm. In the 80s. And so every kid in the world loved the Dukes of Hazzard. And I had a little white Dukes of Hazzard guitar. It's plastic. And I'm left-handed, so I had it flipped upside down. So the pictures of Bo, Luke, and Daisy Duke are upside down. So. But anyway, I'm left-handed, and I'm standing on a chair because they had no stage or anything. Aww. So I'm standing on a chair in the lunchroom of the school, and they play the tape on a tape player, and I know it wasn't very loud because there's just a little rinky-dink tape player, and I just sang along with the song.
Did you do the boppa part?
So when I got to the and I won, okay?
Okay.
I won the talent show.
Naturally.
But I think the reason I won wasn't because I was singing the song. It's what I did during the song is what made me win.
Okay.
I cracked everybody up because when I got to the boppa mom, that part,
yeah,
I would blow my cheeks up like a bullfrog, like Dizzy Gillespie did when he was playing the trumpet. I go, boppa, boppa. My cheeks just puffed up like a chipmunk. And people started rolling. They were laughing. And so I'm seeing this as a 5-year-old going, and I immediately knew they weren't laughing at me. They were laughing. I was entertaining.
Right, yeah.
I was entertaining them.
Right.
And as soon as I came off, I mean, people were roaring applause. My mom and dad both, to this day, wished they'd have had the home movie camera there. Not so much for the sound, but just to capture
Right, just to see like
what
your
was
face.
going
Yeah.
on. And so I remember as soon as I got done, that's when it hit me that I just became immediately addicted to performing for people. And it's like, I ran to my mom. I was like, Mom, I want to do another one. I want to do another one. She's like, you only get to do one. And I was like, go ask them. Go ask them. I can sing the Dukes of Hazzard song. Well, John, they don't have the music to play. I don't care. I'll just sing it. No music. And I would not let up. And so we walked back up there and she said, can he sing another one? And I guess they went and asked the principal and everybody's like, yeah, why not? So when everything was over, I remember they asked a friend of mine who was a classmate, he was supposed to do something. And he got nervous. And I'm standing over there kind of waiting to go back up. And he was so scared. And I was like, and I couldn't understand why he was scared. I don't know what he was supposed to do, but I'm like, man. And I asked him, I was like, why didn't you go up, man? I was like, it's so much fun making these people clap and everything. He was just scared to do it. Some people just
Right.
can't get up in front of people.
Right.
And for whatever reason, I don't have a problem doing it. And so anyway, I got back up there and I sang the Dukes of Hazzard theme song with my upside down guitar.
Aww.
And they clapped again, but nowhere near as much as they clapped for Oomba Oomba. But that was when I knew that was going to be my life. I
understand the feeling. I mean, you came to that feeling a lot earlier than I did because I was 13.
Right.
But I was also a really shy person, and you don't sound like you were a shy person at all.
I wasn't shy. I actually became a little bit more introverted as I got older. I'm not really sure why I did. I just didn't want to be around people or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't playing in bands and stuff. Once I started getting into playing in bands after I turned 18 and started getting involved in playing live music. And that really helped me to be more personable like I was when I was a little kid.
Right.
So
what was your first band called? Was it Big Time or?
No. I had several before that. I think I had like 5 until I got to Big Time. So the first one was called Night Train. And everybody in the band was way older than me. I was a freshman in college. And everybody in the band was like in their 40s.
Oh, that's like me and Huckleberry Blue.
Very similar. They were all doing classic rock, which that's my music of choice is classic rock, and they were doing that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to go into all the details because it'd take too long, but let's just say the age difference was it wasn't clicking.
Yeah.
And so my second band was called Fair Warning, which the guy I went to school with, and I had been in chorus classes all through high school. From 7th grade till I graduated, I took singing classes, chorus, music theory, Never did band, but I did chorus because I love to sing. So a guy that was in classes with me, he was a good drummer, and his brother was a great guitar player. And so we were in a band called Fair Warning, and they were heavy into Van Halen. And they could play Van Halen as good as Van Halen. I mean, they were that good.
Wow.
But Van Halen just wasn't one of my favorites.
Right.
And we did other stuff too, but everything we did sounded like Van Halen. And you can't really pull off Sweet Home Alabama sounding like Van Halen. So,
right.
And it ran its course. Then I got into another band that I started called Nothing Fancy. We did a lot of Southern rock, country stuff, and a buddy of mine was the lead singer in that band. I was just a guitar player. And that kind of ran its course. And then I left music for a while after that. Didn't do anything.
Did you miss it?
No, because I'd gotten burned out on it. And eventually I missed it.
Right.
But I'd gotten burned out on it. And then I met my wife. And then I started working on a solo project, an album. I did 10 songs that I cut in a studio in Burlington, North Carolina. And the studio's no longer there. It was called Liberty House. And my wife told me she was pregnant. And so we had tracked everything, but we didn't mix it and we didn't master it. And I didn't touch that album again until about 6 months ago, when I had the tracks transferred over to digital. And so after Big Time's next release comes out, our next CD, I'm going to resume work on an album that I started on 20 years ago.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I bet that'll feel nice to continue that.
Yeah, it's going to be weird because I'm going in and I'm changing the lyrics to songs that I wrote 20 years ago. And I really think, the man upstairs knows a thing or two about what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. You may not know why, but yeah.
You may eventually know, or you may never know, but everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
Everything's already planned out.
Yeah. So after, we got married, started our family, then me and some of the guys from Nothing Fancy got back together and started the Wilson Chestnut Band. And then that ran its course. I think I had another band in there called Hybrid, in between Nothing Fancy and Wilson Chestnut, I think. Mm-hmm. But that I think we might have played one show.
Right.
But Wilson Chestnut started out of the fact that my dad started Big Time in 2003.
Okay.
I had said earlier that Bits and Pieces was his band when I was a kid. With him and the guitar player, whose name is John also, Bits and Pieces had some reunion shows, and I played with them on a few of those. Well, they kind of ran their course. When it got to the point where my dad and John were the last of the original members there, it was like, it's not Bits and Pieces anymore.
Right.
So what are we going to do? Are we just going to keep the name and move on? Or are we going to do something new? So they just decided to choose a new name, and that was Big Time Party Band. And they started out as a Carolina beach music band, and then a couple of years after it started, John left to go to another band. He basically had an offer he couldn't refuse, and my dad encouraged him to go. And then he called me, and Wilson Chestnut Band had just broken up, and it ran its course, as most bands do. And he said, "You want to come sing in Big Time?" And I was like, "As long as we can do some Leonard Skinner, I'll do it." No. Rest is history. 15 years, 16 years later.
Okay, so I've had a lot of people, when I was in Big Time, they're like, well, what is beach music, or what is Carolina beach music? And they're like, oh, is it like the Beach Boys? And I'm like, no, that's not it. So what is your definition? How would you describe beach music to people who've never heard of Carolina beach music?
Oh, it's not easy to describe to people who aren't from the Carolinas or even Virginia and maybe parts of Georgia, but it's very regional. But the best way I can put it is it's Motown inspired R&B for baby boomers who are of a lighter skin color than the folks that created that kind of music originally.
I need to remember that explanation so that I can maybe slightly different, but
yeah, I mean, it's you got it. Yeah. Back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, you had all the black musicians doing this upbeat R&B, jump blues stuff.
Right.
And all the white kids whose parents kept them away from that stuff were discovering it when they went to the beach because it was on the jukeboxes. Okay?
And it was cool.
And they called it race music back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was called race music. Huh. I never have understood the race issues, but that's a whole different topic. Huh. But anyway, so all the white kids discovered it. All your baby boomers and maybe the generation slightly before baby boomers were discovering the race music, the R&B, the music of African Americans.
Right.
And they developed a dance. It's kind of like a swing dance, but slower. It's called shagging. They named it shagging. I don't know why. I don't know all the history of beach music. But it's just evolved into that. I mean, it just went from that. All the kids that learned how to shag and learned and loved the music, well, a lot of them branched off and started forming their own. The musicians would start their own bands and start doing music that sounded like that music. So it's white kids doing it now,
right?
And that's how beach music came about.
So
it's from the love,
right?
White kids loving the music of black musicians.
Isn't that like everything in general?
Yeah. Hey man, music brings people together. It brings people joy. I don't care what color your skin is, man. If you're doing good, positive music, fun music, man, God bless you, because the world needs more of it every day.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, yes. That's really cool though. I didn't know that about all of that. Do you know how to shag?
My wife and I took shag lessons, and I forgot all of it within a month.
My aunt taught me one time, but I'm like introverted shy person, so I'm like, I don't want to dance.
I don't like to dance. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just not my thing. Although if I'm on stage, I will move around to the music.
Yes.
You know, it's hard.
Yeah,
to
I've
not
seen
to.
you do that.
It's hard to not to.
Yeah.
But like dance, where you have actual steps that you have to remember.
Yeah.
Forget it.
I'll pick it up a little bit and then I'm just like, okay, I'm done, goodbye. And then I just never do it again.
Yeah.
So, you play guitar.
Yep.
And when did you figure out that that's what you wanted to do? Because like obviously singing was the first thing and you had a guitar when you were in kindergarten, but when did you realize like, hey, I want to do guitar and sing? Like I don't just want to be a rhythm player or a lead player, because I think you told me one time you learned lead first.
That's just what I gravitated to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think laziness had a lot to do with it, to be honest. I mean, I'm very impatient. Naturally, I'm just impatient. The older I've gotten, I've learned patience. But when I was a teenager, man, I just very impatient. I wanted to be a rock star, no question about it. But the reason that happened, though, you ask why, why did I choose the guitar or whatever? I mean, yeah, I grew up singing. I mean, I was singing from the time I was born till I haven't stopped. But I discovered Aerosmith.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can remember Aerosmith and Run DMC doing Aerosmith's Walk This Way back in 1986 and seeing it on MTV. And when Steven Tyler is like right in the middle of the screen with his mouth open, walk this way, I was like, what is that? And it's actually scared me, because back then I was listening to primary R&B rap stuff of the day.
Right.
I wasn't listening to rock. Well, I was listening to oldies. I was still digging like Jerry Lee Lewis and La Bamba had come out in '87. So I was listening to Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, all that stuff. The 50s stuff I was totally digging, and I was digging the rap music of the day.
Right.
So I'm on my way to school one morning around 1989, and I hear Janie's Got a Gun by Aerosmith on the radio, on my mom's radio in the car. And I was like, wow, this sounds different. What is this? This isn't rap. This is just, never heard anything like it, ever. I couldn't even tell what it was about. I learned later what it was about, but still, Janie's Got a Gun turned me on to Aerosmith. And then my sister was the one who said, well, that's the same band that used to hide behind the couch when they sing Walk This Way with Run DMC. I was like, no. Yes. I was like, it's the guy with the big mouth? She's like, yes. I was like, oh.
I like how you describe it.
And so I went back and I started liking Walk This Way by Run DMC. So anyway, Leonard Skinner, I'll get to that one in a minute.
Yeah.
Aerosmith turned me on to wanting to be in rock music. And I quit listening to all the rap.
Oh, just like real quick.
And yeah, it was almost overnight. And I was like, right then, I was totally into like Bobby Brown, the R&B singer from New Edition.
Right.
I was so into him right up until then. And I still love his stuff, that from back then. And I still enjoy all the rap music that I was listening to up until then.
Right.
I just didn't keep up with it anymore.
Right.
I'd found something new. So it's like, and about a year and a half, 2 years later, a buddy of mine introduced me to the music of Leonard Skinner. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't sound like Aerosmith, but it's from the same time area, from the 70s, from that era. And I'm like, it kind of sounds country, but not country, And then the lyrics really spoke to me. But it's because they were from the South.
Right.
And they were saying things in their songs that Aerosmith wasn't saying. It was more about the life of just the average person, the us common people, lower middle class, which is what I am, and you could and even lower class. I could just relate to the lyrics. So I think lyrically, Leonard Skinner was attractive to me, whereas Aerosmith was more about just the music and the feeling of the rock music. Leonard Skinner touched me more to my heart because of the lyrical content.
Right.
So between those two bands, those were my biggest influences, on my playing style, my writing style. So I give credit to those two bands for being where I'm at right now.
I feel that. That makes sense. That's like me with Taylor Swift, like her writing style, and also like Julia Michaels and Avril Lavigne, because I listen to a lot of her. So I feel like some of my songs can mostly Taylor Swift, but can take on, inspirations from.
Maybe next year or this year, whenever COVID's over,
Oh my gosh.
maybe Aerosmith and Skinner and Taylor Swift will do a show together and we can go. Yeah, right.
Can we do that? Okay. So since you brought up COVID, that was a nice segue. So I know when I was in the band that we were playing like all the time.
Yeah.
And I know that even after I, got out,
Yeah.
you were still playing a lot.
Yeah.
So
every weekend, pretty much.
How has COVID affected you? Because there's like 9 people? It's like 8 or 9
8 or
people?
9, it just depends on what month it is.
Depends on, yeah.
How many horn players we have.
Yeah. So
how
like,
many guitar players we have.
what's that been like for you? Because like as an acoustic solo artist, like I'm still playing every other month.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning I lost a month of shows, but y'all haven't really.
Well, February 15th will be a year since we've played. I mean, we haven't played. And I was thinking about it last night, and I actually got a little emotional thinking about it.
Yeah.
Talking to my wife, I was like, it's been almost a year since I played in public.
Right.
With the band, and it's like, I haven't seen my bass player in a year almost, since February 15th. Now, he and I chat, and we've talked on the phone, but I haven't physically seen him.
Right.
A couple of guys I saw just once over the summer when they come and got their equipment from the house, because we realized that we're not going out anytime soon.
Right.
So we lost everything.
Right.
And I went out and bought a lawnmower and started mowing yards. Mm-hmm. And which I enjoy doing because I got my headphones on with my music. So as long as I got music, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So I didn't stress out about it. I said, okay, we're gonna lay it down. I mean, my dad and I, he's pretty much the boss. So we talked, and there was some concern within the band of whether we needed to just keep trying to play wherever we could get it, or just lay it down for a little while and see what happens. And I think we made the right decision. Right. And I'll tell you why, because we saw so many other bands doing, in the beach music community, going out and playing these shows and stuff, and some of them ended up getting COVID.
Yep.
And then there were a few events that people held down in Myrtle Beach, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people got COVID from doing that, and we've lost some people. I lost some friends in 2020.
Yeah.
And it's scary, that part of it. And so I know we made the right decision. I mean, we all want to be back out playing, but
it's a safety thing.
It is a safety thing. And what's so bad is I don't judge anybody for going out and playing.
Yeah.
Because I know how important music is to people, how important music is to me and my life and to my family. But for me personally, I'm just waiting it out until things get cleared up before I even think about going back out.
Right.
But again, I want to stress, I am in no way judging anybody who is maintained, because I had another job, or still have another job, working for my church, and so other people don't always have other jobs to fall back on.
Like me.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have people out there, well, maybe you should go get a real job. No, don't get a real job, because music is a real job. It's a real job for people.
There's a lot more to it than people realize.
It kills me when people say that, because it's like, you can say get a different job maybe, but not a real job. What about music makes it not a real job? It is work.
I still pay taxes.
People don't understand how much work is involved.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a band.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
A
it's
solo
so different.
artist, there's a ton of work. But when you have a band and mouths to feed,
it's coordinating
and that
more than
is
you.
your job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I was watching Leonard Skinner again. Johnny Van Zant, lead singer for Leonard Skinner. He's done videos every Sunday, just wishing people good vibes and stuff. And he did an interview, I don't know, halfway through the summer, and he was like, we're just kind of waiting to see what's happening, man. We got mouths to feed. We're trying to do everything we can to keep our people, paid. Yeah. Even though we're not making money.
Mm-hmm. It's hard.
And the guy who runs their light show for them, he ended up opening up a drive-in movie theater. Him and his wife opened up a drive-in movie theater because Skinner's been off the road for. Yeah. I saw them the weekend before everything shut down. Heather and my wife went down to Savannah. and we saw them. They had one show after that, and then everything shut down.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so it's just been crazy.
Yeah.
All of us in the music community have lost so much. Not that everybody else hasn't. Everybody's lost so much.
Yeah.
The world is different. The world is forever changed.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And so didn't you just wrote a song about, you just put out a song about that. So tell me about that.
Yeah, man. I got this new song out. Big Time's got a new CD coming out, hopefully by spring, that we actually started on when you were in the band.
I remember. It was fun.
We cut 2 tracks with you, and then we went back in the studio and cut 3 more after you had left. But then COVID kind of just changed everything, and it was just going to be a blues EP, a bunch of old blues songs, and you know, COVID just kind of stopped everything in its tracks. And I said, well, we'd already put out 2 albums prior to working on this one, and we got a few unreleased things that I'd love for people to hear, you know, back before I was in the band, things that my dad sang.
Right.
And so it's like, I'm just going to put out a best of compilation thing. It's going to be all the new stuff that we've cut. And then I'm just going to take all the stuff that was released as a single or whatever off the first 2 CDs, and then a couple of unreleased things. And it's just going to be a full-length album. I think it's going to have 18 songs. And the band is celebrating 18 years this year. So,
that's perfect.
You know. 18 or 19, I can't remember. But the song that I wrote, though, recently that we just released is called Where Did the Party Go? And it's exactly about what we were just talking about. Yeah. It's the first verse is about, you know, the last time we played was Valentine's weekend. And we didn't know that that was our last show for up to now a year.
Right.
And probably going to be more like a year and a half, you know. Just depends on how the vaccine stuff goes, you know. But the name of the song is Where Did the Party Go? And it's not like anything that has been on any other Big Time CD. It's a slow song. It's acoustic. I recorded it at Daxwood Studios with Doyle Wood in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I'm playing guitar on it. And Doyle played some guitar on it. And he sang some backup vocals. And I think it turned out great. The first people that I sent it to when I got it done was the guys in the band.
That's awesome.
I sent it to them right before Christmas. I said, a Christmas gift from me to you.
Aww.
And I sent it to them. I said, this is because, you know, I sent it because I missed them.
Right,
I missed playing with them.
You'd already not seen them for a long time. Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, some people may ask, well, why didn't you get them to come and record? And I was like, well, you know, the studio's kind of a small place.
Yep.
And
can't really social distance.
You know, I was being safe.
Yeah.
But the point of the song was I couldn't be with them. We couldn't be on stage. And I wanted to reflect that in the production of the song as well.
Right.
The reason I had Doyle play is because I know he's a beautiful guitar player. I mean, he plays so beautifully. I said, can you do some stuff over top of what I'm doing and just give it a little more texture?
Right.
And so he just played he did 2 guitar tracks. And when we mixed it, we just took out the stuff that we kept the stuff that we thought worked and got rid of the rest.
So it's kind of like a song that you wrote to the band, but also to the people that come to the shows, being like, I miss seeing all of you guys.
Sure.
Kind of. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the first verse is about. It's about not being on the road. It's about, you know, everything just shutting down.
Right.
The second verse comes from just seeing in my own home life, kids staying home from school.
Yeah.
Other people I know having to stay home from work, people losing their jobs.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, my wife was considered essential, which I'm thankful for that, but isn't everybody essential?
Pretty much,
I mean, come on, y'all.
Exactly.
We're all important, and we're all in it together.
Yep.
You know, but that's what the second verse is about. But you know me, and you know I'm a man of faith.
Yes.
So as we get after the second verse, it starts talking about the faith. You know, just keep looking up, people, because you know God's going to take care of you. Just you got to trust in God. You know, build on your faith, and that's what the end of the song is about.
Right.
You know,
kind of like we said, everything happens for a reason. So
Right.
just kind of trust in God that He has everything, and
Yep.
yeah.
But how the song came about though was really weird because I was sitting in my office trying to think about what are we going to call this CD? What am I going to call it? You know, and this was before I even decided it was going to be a full length best of compilation. It was just going to be a 5-song EP. And I got up from my office and I was walking into the next room, and this title popped in my head: Where Did the Party Go? I'm like, because we dropped Party Band from the name when it was Big Time Party Band. Now it's just Big Time.
Right.
So we did that before you joined. And where did the party go? Okay. And I thought,
that's perfect.
I wasn't thinking that it was anything sad or serious. To me, it was kind of funny, actually, the way I thought about it. But then I started thinking about it, and these words just started coming faster. I couldn't get back in my office fast enough to write them down. Yep. This is when I know that something way above me was at work.
Right.
And he was using me as a vessel to write this thing.
Right.
Because it literally took less than 10 minutes to write it and make a scratch demo of it.
I feel like sometimes those are the best
Done.
ones.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You can't fight it. When it starts, you got to go with it.
Yep.
Because if you fight it and you lose it, you're going to feel bad about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's a good thing because then you if you have a pencil and paper, then you can write it down. Yep. But if it's a bad thing, if you don't have like your phone, like voice memo has been a lifesaver. And just, if you don't write it down, you're going to lose it and it's not good.
Yeah, so the song's out. I uploaded it online last week. And I guess by the time this is heard to the public, a couple of weeks. So it should be on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, all the streaming download services, Amazon, you name it. Everywhere.
And what's it called?
Where Did the Party Go?
Perfect. I'll make sure I add all those links to descriptions and everything so that people can go listen to that.
Where Did the Party Go by Big Time.
Yeah, I'm really excited that, you put that out, and you sent it to me a little while ago, and I was like, oh, that's... Yeah, everybody in the entire world, literally.
Yeah, the feedback I've gotten from it, people are like, man, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I was like, wasn't me.
It's a good song.
I wrote it down, but it came from above. Yeah. I promise you.
I feel that. Thank you so much for answering all of my questions.
Yes.
And telling the people what we need to know.
Yep, absolutely. I'm glad you had me.
No, you're the first one, the first guest on my show. So.
That was the first time for everything.
Cool. Thank you, John.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm going to play you guys a quick clip of Where Did the Party Go? You guys make sure you go stream it, listen to it, ask them about it on Facebook, all of it. Just show them all the support.
It was Valentine's weekend when we last played. We were feeling the grooves we were making on the stage, not knowing what was down the line. Who knew we were running out of time? And we were left wondering why. Where did the party go? What happened to the show? Why did that life go away? Where did the party go? Nobody seems to know. Everything is a guessing game. Where did the party go?
So again, that was Where Did the Party Go by Big Time. You guys make sure you go stream that, go ask the beach music DJs to play it, just show Big Time all the support that they need because they are absolutely amazing and they are good people. And thanks again to John for hanging out with me. Really appreciate it. Thank you for answering all my questions. You guys stay tuned for next week's podcast. And as always, please make sure you go check out my website, archermusicxx.com. Just go search Archer Music XX. Thanks for listening.